This Daytona 500 NASCAR Fantasy DFS Underdog and all that great stuff. 2026 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Kalshi. Make real money predicting sports. Kalshi is available in all 50 states, and you get $20 free with promo code SGPN. That's Kalshi, promo code SGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome into another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. The last episode of the first week of official racing and the 2026 NASCAR season, Cody. We will go racing tonight as the Truck Series takes the center stage. And, of course, it's O'Reilly Series. And then, of course, the Daytona 500. We have arrived, Cody, and I, for one, cannot wait.
We have arrived. It's been a fun week, a fun couple of days already. Excuse me. We had getting choked up about how much fun I've had. We had single car qualifying, which we got to bet on Wednesday. Then yesterday we had the duels, a couple of great races. That first race, very chaotic. Unfortunately, LaJoie gets KO'd on the final lap. Of course, I put him as the guy on the graphic for this show, assuming he would have been in. It was probably a little bold of me. Sorry if I jinxed you, Corey. But we get to watch him race tonight in the Truck Series, along with Tony Stewart, Travis Pastrana, ton of other people. Then tomorrow, O'Reilly Series, and Sunday with the Daytona 500. So it's been a fun speed week already, and it's just going to keep getting more fun from here on out.
Indeed. Apologies for the late start today for those of you who are trying to catch the show live at 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. Unfortunately, unlike the track at Daytona, my freeways here in California are not wide and expansive, and going 3 wide only means I'm next to 2 semis and I can't go any faster than the semi in front of me. So, but we're off and running, and it is, of course, the DFS edition, and we'll give you some underdog picks. And in true super speedway style, Cody, we came into this, and now that we know, after qualifying, after the duels, after everything that the field is set, which, like you had said a couple days before, we very rarely get when we do these DFS episodes. So what we're going to do, we're going to take full advantage of that. We're actually going to build out a couple of DFS lineups for you, talk through some of our picks, and then, of course, at the end of the episode, we'll give you a couple of our Underdog Fantasy plays, since Underdog Fantasy has been gracious enough to actually put these back up and let us select early. But yeah, Cody, a full DFS episode up for you, and it's going to be a lot of fun actually building the lineups for a change.
Yeah. If you're newer to the show, you're just finding us for the first time, you haven't done the DFS stuff before, whatever the case might be. Generally, we do these shows on Thursday. We'll be on the normal schedule, but it's Daytona week. Everything's a little bit different. At that point in time, we don't know the starting lineup. We don't know all of that information. We don't know who's fast on a more, single car speed doesn't mean a lot here. None of that stuff, but we don't know all that information. So it's more, hey, here's some guys to highlight, to keep an eye on, to look at going into the weekend. But getting a chance to actually build lineups like we will for the Daytona 500 here is pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to it. We know the full starting lineup. We know where everybody's going to be scored from. And it's going to be fun to put together some lineups, talk through some different strategies, and see what we can come up with.
Indeed. But before we do any of that, now is still the time to remind you, and there's still time to enter our free Daytona 500 contest, baby. You're going to get a $100 cash and a $100 gift card to the SGPN merch store for entering. And, of course, some entries. Of course, we are going to pick our favorite comments from Spotify to give you guys all race officials or terrorists t-shirts that we deem worthy enough. You want to get in on this right now, go to sg.pn/NASCAR contest or sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Daytona. Perfectly and 100% free to do this. Cody, how do they walk away with the prizes? Should they be the winners of this?
Yeah, you just got to pick the race winner. That's all you're doing. Go fill out the form over there. Part of that includes commenting on Spotify. Most creative comments. Going to win a couple of t-shirts as well. Pick the winner. We'll break all the ties, of course, on the live recap show later on. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
I am looking forward to that. I love being able to reward you guys for listening and for being such fantastic fans of the show. And this is only one small way we could do it. Of course, make sure you're going in and joining all of the fantasy contests that we've got going on. Cody always puts a DFS contest up for Trucks, O'Reilly, and the Cup Series in the Discord. So that's a sort of a Discord exclusive for everybody out there. So make sure you get down on that as well. It's a lot of fun. All right, let's check in real quick with the chat before we start building out these lineups. Hot Rod says slow roll. You'll never guess who has an absolute hot rod for the 500. Yes, that is correct. Carson Hocevar, LFG Cody. You guys
He looked good last night. He looked really good. He played it smart. He made the right decision. We'll get the 9 points. We'll make friends with the HMS guys. Push old Chase Elliott to the win in the duel. Grab those 9 points. He's a look. If the chase started today, Rod, Carson Hocevar would be in.
All I got to say, I've never once denied that he's fast. I've never said that he's not a talented driver. The problem is you can have all the talent in the world, but if your head's not in the right place, you're going to suck. And that so far has been what's happened to him. He just constantly shoots himself in the foot. So until he stops doing that, I will continue to be on the fade Hocevar train. And you guys will never get me off of that.
Hopefully he'll stop doing that on Sunday when he wins the Daytona 500. TK pointed out SVG had a decent finish in Duel 1, seemed to be taking it easy, playing it safe. If you haven't seen the in-car camera of him avoiding that massive wreck that took out LaJoie at the end of that, pretty good defensive driving from him. Looked really good, kind of maneuvering through cars wrecking to the right, cars wrecking to the left, and just dodging and weaving his way through there to get to a decent finish. So, shout out to him. And then, our buddy Nev was asked if Corey LaJoie approved this graphic. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, sadly made this graphic too early, I guess, but should have used a full-time guy, I guess. JDK was also wondering if the $100 cash is that USD. For our international listeners, yes, that is $100 USD, but we'll figure it out if you win.
I can't remember what the exchange rate is in Canada right now. I'm pretty sure you're making out still on the good end of it, but maybe not anymore. Maybe you're getting ripped off by this $100 cash. Who knows at this point? I don't know what the exchange rate is.
Which day you get your winning prize might matter or mean how much you get. Who knows? So one other thing real quick. Oh, go ahead.
In Korea, and the exchange rate was 1,300 won to the dollar. So I was eating like a king for like $6.
JDK does say it's life-changing money up there in Canada. So maybe if you're a Canadian listener like JDK, you better enter this contest so we could change your life. But you mentioned fantasy contests, Rod, real quick. If anybody's looking to get into some fantasy stuff, pin tweet at NASCAR Gambling, pin post on our Facebook page, NASCAR Gambling Podcast. I have a thing up there. It's got that graphic we just showed on the YouTube with the Daytona 500 contest and the link for that so you can join in. And then it's also got our free listener league. We're doing that on GridRival this year. Check that out. It's a lot of fun. You sign drivers to anywhere from 1 to 5 race contracts. It's sort of DFS style as far as like they do get passing or, points for passing people, place differential, all that stuff, where you finish. I think there were stage points even paid out there, laps led percentages, all sorts of stuff. So it's a little more in-depth and pretty fun. That's a free listener league. I think we have over $200 in prizes. going out for that. So check that out. Some free t-shirts, stuff like that. And then also the one and done pool, which I'm doing $15 entry. That one's pinned over there as well. Of course, reach out at Husker_Zeeb, Discord, whatever, if you have trouble or questions or anything, and we'll get you hooked up.
JDK, you could retire on $200 US, so you might want to get in on that action over there because you never know. Of course, it always reminds me of the Euro trip where the guys go over and they've got 25 cents in their pocket, and he's like, I'm buying my own hotel chain. So that was amazing. Anyways, all right, let's set this race up and start building some DFS lineups. It is, of course, the 2026 running of the Daytona 500. We are set for 200 laps around this 2.500 mile paved track for 500 miles around the Daytona International Speedway at Daytona, Florida, Daytona Beach, Florida, rather. And yeah, Cody, I mean, we know the entry list now. We know everybody that's in. We know the open cars. By the way, how cool is that serpentine action going as the cars were entering at speed and weaving in with those folks that were just getting out there? It's that was kind of fun to watch too. But yeah, because of that, we know that there are open cars now that are in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats and a little bit of sad stuff, I guess, for on both sides of the deal. But LaJoie obviously gets involved in that wreck. Anthony Alfredo slips through, has the kind of Hail Melon move, which I was wondering, is that legal? I guess since you're avoiding a wreck, maybe, but under the wall. I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter because they went too cheap and taped the stuff instead of securing it down appropriately. And he was disqualified. So BJ McLeod gets in. It's great to see that. BJ's obviously been a guy that's been around the sport a long time, done a lot of great stuff, and always been one of those guys that's just, he's there to have fun. Like, it's a black car. We'll see if they get some sponsorship on it before Sunday, but good to see him get in. And then in the second duel, ends up being Casey Mears. Or did I get that wrong? I think it was the other way around.
No, Mears was supposed to be in. Mears is in. Yeah.
No, Mears is in. Was he the first one? I can't remember. Maybe I got that backwards. He got in. He's the one who got in because LaJoie didn't make it.
Yeah.
And then in the second duel, that's when Alfredo raced his way in, and then McLeod ends up in because of the. So I got it backwards. Whatever, doesn't make a difference. It's Casey Mears and BJ McLeod, just like everybody predicted. Actually, shout out to Preston in the Discord. He said before the duel started yesterday, it should be LaJoie and Alfredo, so it'll probably be Mears and McLeod, and he nailed it.
I'm telling you, man, we got the smartest audience in the mix. But yeah, all right, we'll talk through all the starting positions as we start to build up these lineups. But first, win the race. How perfect are you being in the chat? Truck Night in America, baby. That is absolutely right. And while you are at it, make sure you go check out Win the Race, because we have partnered this season with Win the Race. Fantastic stuff over there. You can even get fair market value on head-to-head matchups and some of the bets that you're willing to make. You can research whether or not you're getting it at a fair price and then go from there. Not to mention, you can simulate races 1,000 times over and see how the race turns out 1,000 times. I'm telling you right now, it's at the touch of the button. I would try to simulate 1,000 races on my Xbox, and yet it probably would take me till next year. So they do it in the fraction of a second. You get all the info, all of the statistics you need to make sound and statistical based betting. Go to wintherace.info. It is truly P1 in racing analytics. Some great stuff over there. Yeah, just
they
a great
are currently as we speak, they're working on their DFS lineup picker. It's going through the projections right now. And once it's done, it'll have how many times each driver is in the optimal lineup after 100,000 races they're simulating currently. So, look, if you want to get serious about DFS and get deep into all the numbers and the data and the optimization stuff like that, I've just begun scratching the surface of playing around over there, but I'm gonna have a lot of fun over there this season.
Indeed. Just a couple more before we get going. R. Scott Tlar saying Alfredo failed. Well,
new name. Good to see you. Yeah, he didn't fail, but his team failed.
Indeed. Expert Suck saying Rod, love the Avs jersey. I love this Avs jersey. It's so nice. The sweater Expert Suck. You should know better than that. But yeah. All right, listen, we've got plenty of stuff to get to on the other side of this break, but I would like to tell you first and foremost about one of our favorite sponsors out there, and that is, of course, Kalshi. Kalshi is a real money prediction market, legal in all 50 states. Kalshi has a ton of trading options for your favorite sports, and besides sports, they've got a ton of other markets, including politics, entertainment. Hell, you can even trade on the weather with Kalshi. Trade on just about anything that your imagination can wrap its head around. I've been hammering this all week. Absolutely love this one. I am putting $10 on this one as soon as we get off of here. Will the U.S. confirm that aliens exist before 2027? So we've got a year to figure this one out and ride this out. Believe it or not, folks, it's 18 cents to the yes right now. So a $10 investment will bring you back 56 cents. This is how many people believe that now that aliens are actually existing out there. It's a crazy little market. I may end up putting a little more on this just to see if they bump the price up a little more, or maybe bet the no down, or trade the no down to where I can cash out. But fun to play this market, fun to play a lot of other markets out there. Plus, you can get $20 when you use promo code SGPN if you are a new customer. That's Kalshi, KALSHI, promo code SGPN. I get so excited about aliens I just can't spell anymore. We're brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is the #1 social sports book out there in the galaxy and casino. It's available in 35 or more states, including Texas and California. Get in on the action with Rebet. Plus, get a 100% purchase match up to $100 with promo code SGPN. Rebet, promo code SGPN. At some point, Cody, I do hope aliens exist, because then we can bring them in as NASCAR listeners and bettors. That'd be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. I don't know if you saw, I saw a story about how you can, on Kalshi, you can pick whether the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl or not. You can also pick whether Jesus comes back by 2027 or not. And Jesus has better odds than the Cowboys.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So.
Let's see. Jesus. I'm looking Jesus up right now at Kalshi. I'm not seeing it, but we'll keep looking. All right. Cody, let's do this. Let's do this thing. Let's start building up some NASCAR DFS lineups. No surprise, as we start looking through this, William Byron is the most expensive driver out there. He has won the last 2 Daytona 500s, but I'm telling you right now, he's starting in, what is it, 39?
Yeah. The way the starting lineup shook out, especially because of the wrecks and stuff, really makes this interesting, because it's going to be very interesting, because if you just look at starting lineup, a lot of people like to stack the back, right? You often hear that term. You like to see, or you hear things like that. But if you look at the back of the field, it's the most expensive driver in William Byron. Austin Cindric is a top 10 most expensive driver. He's also back there starting in 36. Chris Buescher starts 41st. He's back there. Ross Chastain, all high-priced guys that are starting in the back. So you won't necessarily just be able to click the guys in the back, but those guys are all going to be chalky. So figuring out and determining which of those guys to use, which of those guys not to use, the right amount of which mixture of who to use, that's going to be the key, because likely some of those guys are going to end up surviving and being optimal just because there's so much place differential opportunity. But which ones, who is it? Is it all of them? Probably not. That's going to be the key.
Yeah, and what's funny too, like you said, when you start to look at this, a lot of times William Byron, you're not going to see him in the 30th, and he's going to be 10,000, so you struggle a little bit. Whereas I think in this instance, you have to have at least one lineup with William Byron in it, because that place differential, if he does end up finishing top 5, even top 10, I mean, that's points you can't be without. And it's insane to think that you're going to have to pay 10,000 for him, but I mean, you want to pay 10,000 for him, right? That's exactly why you want a guy like William Byron, especially in the back right there with his finishing position, his average finishing position here at Daytona over the last several seasons. It's insane. So, I mean, I'm already going to start the first one, Cody. I think you have to put William Byron in at least this first one, because if he does go out and score 40, 50 points, you're toast without him.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly is going to be very popular, but a guy that has to be looked at to be played, because he's the most expensive driver for a reason. He's won back-to-back years. 3 years in a row is going to be extremely hard. Some would say impossible. It's never been done, right? But, yeah, I think that we'll plug him in this first lineup, because how do you not use him at the back? The good thing about this is there's really no, like, the floor is there. There's no downside to playing him other than not gaining points, obviously, but he's not going to lose you points, which if you play a Joey Logano, a guy that's expensive and starts up front, yes, there's obviously the upside of leading laps, winning, things like that. But if he gets involved in a wreck, you get all the negative points. With William Byron, you don't get that because, well, he's starting just about as close to the back as you can get, 39th out of the 41 drivers. So technically can only lose 2 spots, and there's a lot more spots to gain than to lose.
You know, we talk about that with guys like McLeod and Ware, right? We were like, oh, well, they're so cheap and they're starting in the back and they can't lose you points. I mean, that's almost even a bigger reason to have a guy like William Byron, even though he's $10,000, because the potential for him to score a top 5 versus the potential of a Ware or McLeod. Yeah, okay, all things may be equal on a super speedway, but not quite so much with William Byron, because you know he's going to be competing for a top 5 at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter if you start in the back, because same thing with Denny Hamlin, right? When he's starting in the 20s, he hangs back anyways and finds his way back up to the front. So I'm not scared about Byron. I'm definitely going to load him up. Cody, is there another higher price driver that you're after, or are we dipping down a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, as you kind of look along through here, so you know, a Joey Logano, I think, is kind of a guy that jumps out to me. So he starts in 3rd place. So he's a much higher risk because there is a lot of downside to be had there, right? He can lose a lot of spots, certainly, but he can also gain you a lot of points because I kind of expect that, as well as we saw, especially Fords work together yesterday between the RFK Fords and then the Penske Fords. Obviously, they go and finish 1-2 in the duel after surviving the RFK disaster. But you saw how well they work together. I think we're going to see a lot of get those 2 cars up front, and Cindric, once he can find his way to them, he's got a long way to go starting in the back. But you know, once he gets up there, he'll work with them as well. And there's other Fords in the mix. They have the front row partnership, so any of those front row Fords might and will be working with them, and other drivers will want to work with them also. But I think Joey Logano is definitely a guy you can look at. It is high risk, but there's a lot of opportunity for high reward, because I think he will lead a lot of laps. I think he'll be up front, be putting down fast laps, and has that ability to finish well. Obviously, a wreck is going to really hurt if he gets caught up in one, but if he doesn't, it can be a great day for you.
Indeed. Well, I'm going to take another Ford down in the $8,000 range. And so far, we're at 2 drivers, and then the average remaining salary here is $7,650. We've spent, what is it, $19,400. This is me doing math on the fly. We got $30,000 left, but I think Ryan Preece in that RFK camp, right? That's a guy. He's going to be starting in the 19th spot, so there's some place differential points for him. Talk about Fords locking themselves up. I mean, this is it, right? The RFK Fords, the Penske Fords, they'll be hovering around each other because they have to. It's survival of the Fords. At this point, the blue ovals can't really leave themselves out to hang because there's not as many of them as there are Chevys. So I think obviously we know that Buescher and Keselowski are going to get theirs, but Preece obviously has been making a name for himself as well. And starting in 19th, I love the place differential part of that. And I love the fact that his allies are going to be protective of each other and run in front, and maybe even Preece leads some laps in this one.
Yeah, and we saw how good the RFK Fords looked when they were linked together. They're going to be short one without Corey LaJoie in this race, but there's still the 3 of them. They're going to have other friends out there as well, including possibly these Penske Fords, that all the Fords will work well together. So yeah, I like it. He's got momentum coming off of the big win, obviously, at the Clash. So I like it. I am going to go with a guy at $8,400. I think this is going to easily be the most popular play in Chris Buescher, who's starting dead last. But he's also my favorite play because there is no downside at all, right? And looking at all these simulations that Win the Race ran over there, $8,400. He is the highest optimal owned percentage guy, 35.71% of the time in their 100,000 simulations. He ends up being the guy. So if you cycle or sort, I guess is the word I was looking for, the results by optimal percentage, Chris Buescher, the number 1 guy. He's got the highest projection, right? They're projecting him to be 40. Well, actually, he's not the highest projection, which is sort of interesting to me. William Byron actually does take the cake there, who, by the way, is the second optimal guy. I'm not going to give you the whole list, but good to point out that that Chris Buescher is the highest optimal guy over there. There's just no downside to it. He's actually been really good at finishing well in this race, time and time again. Those RFK Fords we've seen continually be good. Now you look at last night, obviously nobody is exempt from getting caught up in wrecks, right? William Byron, who we've talked about, caught up in a wreck. Chris Buescher, we've talked about, caught up in a wreck. It happens that quick. And I really think, for as boring and not full of action as the second duel was, that first duel was a great reminder of how the Daytona 500 can go. And I said it in the chat, that's how quick it happens, folks. Like, it is that fast that boom, that whole entire everything changed. You just looked at that race and it was like, I was starting to count the bets, right? Chris Buescher is going to win. Corey LaJoie is going to be top 3. We're getting LaJoie into the 500. And then all of a sudden, boom, Bubba makes that big run and he gets up there. And it's like, holy shit, he's going to go win this. And then a bad push, from behind. And that's what it takes. And then everybody stacks up. A restart leads to more chaos. That's how quick it goes. So nobody is safe. I will definitely say that. But Chris Buescher, he's going to be the chalkiest play. So don't put him in all your lineups. You're going to want to be different. But especially if you're cash lineups and stuff, he is my favorite play. I think he's a guy you have to have because the upside is just so massive on him. And great to see that Win the Race agrees with me.
And I love that some of these guys who we are really considering as contenders, not just for a top 5, but for a win, are that far back, because it does give you a lot. And yeah, of course, in cash plays, in cash contests, they're going to be heavily owned, and in GPPs too. But I mean, sometimes you have to eat the chalk, because if you're trying to get cute and you got the lineup that scores 15 points versus the lineup that scores 500 points, then you're really assed out. So got to have him as well. I'm going with the $6,100 option. Cody, you talked a lot about him in the betting episode, and for DFS purposes, we're talking fantastical, especially at a 35th place starting position. That's AJ Allmendinger. In 2 of the last 3 years, AJ Allmendinger has had the second most fantasy points on the day in the Daytona 500. Last year, he was behind only Noah Gragson in first place. AJ Allmendinger scored you 67.65 points in the DraftKings contest. In the 2023 Daytona 500, 64.85. So cleared 64 points in 2 out of the 3 Daytona 500s. Telling you right now, I mean, he started 28th and finished 6th in 2024. He started 29th and finished 6th in 2023. So that tells me that, and what's funny is that last year he started 13th in the Daytona 500 and ended up finishing 41st. So when he starts in the back, he does much better than when he starts toward the front. So if this is any signal of how good AJ Allmendinger is going to be on Sunday, give me all the AJ Allmendinger, especially at $6,100. That leaves us with $8,100, Cody.
Yeah, so love AJ. Agree with you there. He's right driving the 16 for Biff, right? We like that. Talked about him on the betting episode. He's been great in this race. One note, he did have his hand checked out yesterday and has a wrap around it. I guess in that the crashes and stuff, he ended up hurting his hand a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal, but just so it's out there so you don't turn on the coverage and you're like, oh, what the hell? How come I didn't know about this, right? I told you, so now you know. I did want to make one other note real quick. There is multiple drivers going to backup cars. Now, a majority of them wrecked and they're starting in the back anyways, but they will be scored from whatever their position shows on DraftKings. So, if for some reason, let's say they fire up Kyle Busch's car, I think there's actually another cup practice, say he wrecks that car and it ends up going to a backup car and starting in the back, he will be scored from first place because that's where he is scored at. So just to make sure that's all cleared up and clarified. One other thing is, yes, we have $8,100 left, but you don't always have to spend all of your budget, especially at a place like Daytona. Typically, winning lineups do not spend all of their budget. So we're going to go, we have all this $8,100. Oh, we could go all the way up here. We could spend money on Ross Chastain, who starts 37th. Then you're like, oh, we got all these guys starting in the back. But I'm going to change it up. We're going to be different because you got to be different when you're building these lineups if you're trying to win something. We're going to scroll down near the bottom. BJ McLeod, $4,800, Rod. This is going to leave us with $3,300 on the table. Perfectly fine with that. Have no issue doing that at all. BJ McLeod starting in 38th place. Again, very little downside because he is starting so far back, but he's been a solid guy when it comes to racing at Daytona. 32nd here in the fall, not the best of finishes. There wasn't a lot of chaos in that race. Really, a lot of people got to the end of the race. That's what hurts him. But if this is going to be a chaotic race, which is what Joey Logano is predicting, and he knows a little something about this racing, That's when BJ comes into play big time, and we love BJ. Last year, he did not make the 500, sadly, but in 2024, he finished 19th place here in the fall race. 2023, 23rd place. He was 30th here in the 500 and 23, again, kind of a less crazy one, but he has 7th place finish in 2022 in the fall race here, 27th in the 500 that year, 9th place in the fall of 21, 23rd sprinkled in there, 19th place. So it's probably not going to win, right? I think I will be betting on the McLeod. I said top 5 in the Discord, maybe top 5, top 10 for sure. I'll be betting on him. But I do think that with all of these other guys starting in the back, and you're going to try and get all these other guys in, BJ's a guy not to overlook, because he can go out there, and if it is chaos, say a Ross Chastain gets caught up in it, some of these other guys are starting near the back and don't score you many points. BJ McLeod is that type of guy that can sneak through all the chaos and madness. He's probably not going to have the fastest car in the world. We know that, right? So he's going to hang out at the back. He's going to bide his time and let it happen in front of him. That's what we're looking for. So he's a little bit of a chaos play, but I do love BJ this weekend, sneaking into the 500 there at $4,800.
I really respected the hell out of his comments about racing and just not wanting to do the whole fuel mileage saving. He's like, I just want to go out and race. I don't care if I wreck the car. I just want to race. But that brings into the conversation, Cody, what exactly is say again?
Some laps led. If he's not going to save fuel, we get him up front, and then you're in front of the chaos when it happens behind you, Rod. So I don't hate that.
But go ahead. It brings up a larger conversation about what actually racing is. Like that we'll have that on a different day, maybe even after the recap show. During the recap show, we'll talk about what the definition of racing actually is, because, it kind of does bring that to mind. Is it balls to the wall for 200 laps, or is it all of this cautiousness and all of this not wanting to burn fuel and all that?
Yeah. And we've seen both sides of that work out, right? I mean, it really has worked out. I was trying to remember, somebody won the Indy 500 2019. I can't remember who it was, but they basically just ignored the team. Like, the team was like, we got to save fuel from the start. And he's like, nope, balls to the wall the whole race. Ended up strategy fell out perfectly for him. Boom, he goes on and wins the race. And it was like, he just went out and raced. We've seen in previous years too, Corey LaJoie leads a lot of laps. Cody Ware leads a lot of laps. The guys who just want to go race, maybe BJ could snag a few laps led in that beautiful black 78 car.
Indeed. Were you thinking of Simon Pagino?
Yes, that's who it was. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
All right. Get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over the DFS lineup that we have made for the Daytona 500. This will be the only one. I mean, time kind of got away from us because I got stuck in California traffic. So this will be the lineup for the show. There obviously will be many, many more. And if you check the Discord, you will find many variations on this, and you could build your own based on these drivers or not, whatever you want to do. William Byron, $10,000, the highest price driver, but probably the best driver out there to have in your lineup. We have Joey Logano starting in second at $9,400 rather. We got Ryan Preece at $8,000, Chris Buescher at $8,400, AJ Allmendinger at $6,100, BJ McLeod at $4,800. Absolutely love it. We'll come back with some underdog fantasy plays. Check in real quick with Slow Roll saying, Rod, my two bigger bets this weekend in honor of your brothers, Taylor Gray in the trucks and the O'Reilly series. Absolutely. Thank you so much, you guys, for continuing to do that. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's going to be a lot of emotion this weekend, but I will definitely enjoy watching this race and thinking of the man that introduced it to me. So we'll keep that alive.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll come back after the break and I'll go for it.
I wanted to highlight a couple other guys I really, really like. I think could be under the radar a little bit. Bubba Wallace at $9,100 and 27th. Again, I think people are going to flock to the guys starting a little farther back. He could be very sneaky, so keep your eye on him. Alex Bowman starting at 21st. I expect a lot of people will not be playing him, but he's a guy definitely to keep your eye on. Again, guys that are kind of mid-pack, a little farther back, but it's not as sexy as, oh, you can go out and grab all these guys that are starting a little farther back. So I just wanted to highlight those couple of guys. Justin Allgaier as well, $6,400. He is one of the guys starting in the back. Jimmy Johnson, 31st, $5,800. All guys that definitely keep your eye on. Just wanted to highlight and touch on real fast.
Yeah, I 100% agree, especially on Jimmy Johnson. Bring me all the Jimmy Johnson, and then, of course, the 48 of Alex Bowman. Love that as well. All right, let's get back to more picks. But first, let's officially tell you about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog's got you covered to pick them for almost every single sport out there. Get in on Underdog and win up to 5,000 times your entry. We're going to give you some of our favorite from the Daytona 500. But let me give you some Olympic stuff to keep your eye on. How about France's own Julia Simone in the women's 7.5 kilometer sprint in the biathlon? Keep your eyes on the biathlon. This is one of those sports that goes under the radar every single year. And then you watch and you go, hey, that's actually kind of cool. She just won herself a gold medal. She was the first French woman to win gold in this Olympics in the 15 kilometer individual biathlon race. So stands the reason she can finish better than 3.5 and find herself on the podium in the 7.5 sprint. So give me a Julia Simone, better or higher. Yeah, better than 3.5 in the biathlon over on Underdog. Underdog's got a brand new offer for customers. Play just $5 and get $75 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code RACE, SGPN. Rhythms has been on a heater for college and NBA picks. Super easy to sign up, run predictions off the house model, or make your own play with the sliders. And if you're looking to go premium, now's a good time. Use promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off of your first month. Download Rhythm. Use promo code SGPN25.
Rod, I have bad news for you.
What happened?
Cup Series practice just started.
Oh, and all these
Underdog has taken down the Cup Series stuff. So you just have to stay tuned to the YouTube Shorts because if you know me, I'll definitely be putting up some of my favorite plays. And once this practice is over, what they put up will be what's up through Sunday through the race. So I would pay attention. We'll see when they get stuff back out, projections back out, but I'll definitely have a short up with some of those favorite plays.
That's frustrating. All right, well then listen, let's do this, okay? Because we've gotten a feel for where they would put these projections, right? We've pretty much been hand on a pulse. So let's do a couple of. We'll do one each. We'll talk. Well, maybe we'll do two each. We'll figure out where we would feel comfortable taking better than or worse than on some of these drivers and where they're starting. How's it? Let's play that game, shall we?
All right, Rod. Let's play that game.
Let's play that game. I'm going to start with one of your favorites, Cody, because they're going to give this to us. Carson Hocevar is starting in 6th. Would you take him better than 8.5?
So my general approach to Underdog lineups for super speedway racing is you go with the worst then, just because. So the thinking on that with anybody in the field is if you set somebody at 8, whoever it is, Carson or anybody else, is at a normal track, when we get to Phoenix, when we get to Kansas, how many people can finish inside of the top 8 realistically, right? 15, 20 maybe on a really good day. But at Daytona, how many guys can finish in the top 8? Well, there's 41 cars in the field, and they can all finish inside of the top 8. And so just the way that the number shifts, generally I'm going to look for worse than numbers. Now, Underdog did have Hocevar listed at 13.5 earlier this week.
Ooh,
he's starting well and ran well in the duels, so I would imagine that number comes up. Obviously, I'm playing the car lift on him this week, so even if it's set at 8.5, 9.5, whatever, I will definitely work him into the better than side of things just because I'm going to continue to lean into said narrative, right? But in a general sense, I'm mostly looking for guys I want to go worse than on.
Okay, well then here we go. Let's go with SVG starting in 13th. Let's say he's available. Are you taking him worse than? I would probably say 15.5.
I don't know that we'll get a worse than on him. I feel like he'll be one of the guys that it's
better than 10.
Yeah, better than 10 at an expedited rate, which I actually do kind of like because we've seen from him the continued getting better at oval track racing in general, the super speedway stuff. Again, I mentioned the in-car camera earlier of him, his wreck avoidance. That's I'm going to increase his Madden rating on wreck avoidance because it was pretty good wreck avoidance he had yesterday in the duels as the chaos was unfolding in front of him. I think he's a guy that's just going to play it smart, going to stay out of the way. He's not going to be over aggressive. Guys like Hocevar can scare you certainly because he's going to be aggressive. He's going to go for it all. That can lead to being, getting in a wreck more than not. But with a guy like with SVG, I think he's going to play it very safe and taking the better than side of somebody on Underdog. That is probably what you want. So yeah, I would imagine you'll get a better than 10 multiplier on him. And the multiplier will probably make it worth playing the better than side of things.
That would be fun. Frank the Tank talking. We're live. Yes, we are. Frank
We
the Tank.
are?
We always try to be. We try to be live at 5 o'clock or 5 o'clock Eastern most days. This week has just been kind of a crazy week, and Preston's just here for the BJ talk, aren't we all?
You just missed it. We talked to BJ a little bit ago, Preston.
And then the which one, huh? I kind of like that name. Ryan
Yeah,
Priest
man.
taking
Like
on the
the
whole
name,
shebang.
Welcome. Yeah, we just talked about him a few minutes ago as far as DFS picks, but yeah, he's got captain momentum in his pocket, so he might.
Certainly does. All right, Ty Gibbs. Are we getting a finishing position on him?
Probably not a worse than, but
Starting
why
20th.
are you just picking the guys that I bet on this week?
'Cause
Rob?
I
It's
have to.
weird.
I have to.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess what number are you setting him at?
Well, if I were to, okay, so he's starting 20th. So maybe I just give him the better than 10.
It's probably the better than 10. So again, like I'm going to build. So I guess this goes to same thing for your DFS contest, right? As Rod watches me try to spin this into a positive, but this is how it works, right? It's the same thing for your DFS contest. Is I'm not just going to say yes, Gibbs better than no matter what. You have to do that because everybody's in play on the worst end, and just like with your DFS lineups, don't play one guy in every lineup. If you have more than one lineup, do not use the same people because one guy crashes and everything is just shot. So you have to mix it up, right? But certainly, I believe that there is a case for Gibbs to even possibly win this race, put himself in position, and I think we could see that. Now, Toyota, interestingly, for all the Toyotas they had in the second duel last night, didn't look that great and didn't work that well together, which I'm not going to overly look into that. It's a duel. Things got really strung out. We didn't have a caution in that one, and so it led to the big single line at the end kind of thing. Really strung out. Less cars out there, obviously, so you don't have quite as much pack stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting as far as how that went. I'm not going to overlook into that, I guess. But I do think that there are days you can play and lineups you can play the Gibbs better than side. I don't know. We'll get a worse than on him, so that probably won't be an option. But again, at 10, better than 10, or I think they usually do 10.5, at a multiplier, I would be interested in playing.
Okay, last one for me anyways, unless there's somebody you wanted to bring up. Ryan Blaney, this is one that you're not. This is one that I am. Let's say 7.5, better than or worse than 7.5.
See, do you think it's going to be as low as 7.5? Because I think
he's starting 5th, but I don't think they're going to give him that much of
I'll be interested. Yeah, I'll be
Respect.
interested to see. I think they will though, because he's like the favorite to win. So, but that's where they also have to protect themselves, because if you set the number too low, if there's anybody that's set at 5 or lower, I'm taking the worst then, because again, 41 cars can finish inside of the top 5 instead of 12 or 15 on a regular week. So just numbers wise, you have to play the worst then side of things. Yeah, Blaney's going to be great. Look, we saw what Penske's capable of yesterday. And I don't want to overreact to be like, oh my God, they're going to win it all, because, well, we also saw how the chaos can unfold, and certainly, things can go wrong and happen. So, he's probably, to me, his number's probably going to be set so low that I feel like I'm going to have to take the worst then side.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's
Even if
how
it's
I
like
feel.
4.5, I feel like that might be.
The guys I'll be super interested in is like Chris Buescher, since he's starting 41st. If we can get a 12.5 on him or something like that, then I'll be looking at the better than. And one thing, and again, stay tuned to YouTube. I might put out a few different lineups just because I love to do stuff like that. But they have top Chevy, top Ford, top Toyota. So if you find, like, if you're, and again, you know me, I like to go for home run hits because it's fun. But if you pick 3 different guys, your multiplier on that will be insane, because it's, the way they do it is they'll have, even the favorite is a multiplier of 3 point whatever. A longer shot guy is going to be a multiplier of 10 point whatever. So now you end up with a guy that's a 10, a guy that's a 5. Suddenly you have a 25 point multiplier, and it adds up really fast. And even putting in just one, if you want to do a top Toyota along with a Blaney worse than and a Gibbs better than, and boom, your multiplier adds up so much quicker because you have the bigger multiplier multiplied in with the multipliers. That's a lot of multiplying. But it really is a lot of fun to build that stuff, especially when you come to the super speedways, just like we talk about in betting and just like we talk about in the DFS lineups. It opens up so many more possibilities. Everything's not so tight. Like, it's still fun on normal weeks, but it's a lot tighter, right? You'll have Kyle Larson set at 2.5. Okay, well, he either wins or he doesn't, and you got to pick a side, and it's sometimes hard to pick a side. But it really makes it a lot of fun.
It really does. So yeah, keep an eye when Underdog puts everything back up. Obviously, we can't really speculate too much more because we don't even know which drivers are going to be available. But I am convinced that there are spies from Underdog that's out there, and they know our strategies already. So if you are a spy, admit it first and foremost. Come to the Discord and admit it. We're going to be keeping an eye on you and monitoring you as well. Frank the Tank wants to know, where are you guys going to watch the 500? Are you going to be home with your family and friends, or locked in a room so no one can bother you? I used to throw some pretty good Daytona parties. I haven't done that in a couple of years. I should do that again soon.
Yeah, last year I made it to a watch party up in Council Bluffs with my friends over at the Front Stretch podcast, local podcast. They're doing that again. I was trying to hopefully get up there, but we got some other stuff going on. So I'm likely just going to end up watching at home and sweating it out by myself. But we'll see if weather moves things, start times or whatever. Undecided for me, but likely locked in a room so nobody can bother me.
And talking to everybody over there on Discord, because that's what we do.
I'll be in the Discord and all that. And I'll be trading my futures on Kalshi as well.
Let's go. Dirty Rag's going to be at the sports book because he can't pick up the station at the house. Woo,
yeah,
that's a good sweat right there, isn't it?
It's a good place to watch.
I probably should go to a sports book as well. And then Nev saying pick up his grandfather and going straight to the bar, a tradition.
Hey.
Oh, man, that's beautiful.
Hell
that's
yeah.
Beautiful.
That's my grandparents are the ones that got me into racing. So absolutely love that. It's always fun. And to have a tradition like that sounds like a great time.
And to have grandparents that you can do that with. So that's always a blessing in disguise. So obviously, Frank saying wife and kids will be out of town, so daddy will finally have control of the remote point.
Sometimes that is a struggle. Let me tell you.
I don't know.
We have to watch what? There's another race on, Dad?
I know.
Go watch a different TV, kid.
Sports
this
are always
is my living room. I pay the mortgage here.
Listen. I like Bluey just as much as you do, but I've got to watch curling. All right. Well then, Cody, trucks take the center stage here in just a few minutes. Actually,
yeah.
right?
I gotta go get my. Oh yeah, I think it's in is it 6:30 Central Time or so? Yeah, about a little over an hour. I gotta go get my lineup set for that.
Yes, you do.
So I'll be doing that, and I'll Discord again. sg.pn/Discord. Look, if you're not in the Discord already, it's a place you want to be, and I'm telling you, it's a great community over there. There's a ton of conversation, ton of great people to interact with. We're constantly talking about news or stories or things that are going on. The AJ Allmendinger hand thing that got posted in there earlier, right? That can spark conversation. What do people think about it? Stuff like that. You get the DFS contest. We do a little $5 contest for every race. We had them for the duels last night. Truck race tonight, O'Reilly. We'll have one for the 500 as well. We post those in there. You can join, have fun. And yeah, it's just a great community. People are sharing picks and bets and found this number here, found that number here. I see it over here at this price. All the fun stuff. And our next episode, Rod, will be the Daytona 500 recap episode. You call in live from the Discord. I have a feeling that's going to be a jam-packed call in, depending on how the 500 goes. We'll see. But I feel like that's going to be a jam-packed call in line. So you're going to want to be over there. You're going to want to call in, call somebody to the hauler if you need to, and have a good time.
It'll be five minutes of our recap and then 55 minutes or even longer.
Yeah, I feel like we might not get a lot of words in edgewise. It's going to be people lined up out the door, which is kind of how we want the show to go. So we'll love it.
Yeah, we absolutely love it. And we're looking forward to that for sure. So, all right, let's turn you guys loose. You have the rest of today and tomorrow and however long until you listen to this episode to get it all together and get yourself set for the Daytona 500. Hopefully you have a nice, comfy place to watch it with great folks surrounding you. And again, you if you can add us into the mix as well, sg.pn/discord, we'd be happy to have fun with you and watch Daytona and celebrate the official start of the 2026 NASCAR season. Cody, we've arrived, my friend.
We have. It's our own watch party over there every race. Get a basically an in-race live chat. It's a lot of fun. So, yeah, absolutely love it. Make sure you head over sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Daytona. You can enter the contest there. Again, if you want to get in the fantasy league, all that stuff, pinned tweet, pinned post on the X at NASCAR Gambling on the Facebook page. Do all that. Follow, like, subscribe, click the bell. Then you know when we're live, right, Frank? And yeah, you want to have the bell for when we go live for the recap show because we don't know what time that'll be, when the race is over, all that fun stuff. So click the bell. We appreciate it. Best of luck to everybody this weekend on your bets, on your fantasy stuff. Follow me, Rod, on the X at Husker_Zeeb. See you guys later.
Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. You can find everything that I am up to on that particular space. And yeah, just having fun hanging out with you guys on this Daytona week. Thanks for hanging with us. And yeah, listen, you guys have made this YouTube channel become one of the more dominant YouTube channels in the network, in the SGPN network. The bosses have noticed this community, this family is such a huge part and driving force of what we do here. So thanks for keeping it rolling. And if you're brand new to the family, welcome in. We promise not to let Grandpa get too creepy on you. So, all right. Till then,
Rod, one
Yes.
more thing.
Uh-oh.
Congratulations to Carson Hocevar, 2026 Daytona 500 champion. That's it.
Join us on our never-ending quest to make NASCAR betting fun again. Let's go racing and let it ride.
We are the miles through the darkness.